Health Watch. The Trump administration is planning to ban flavored e-cigarettes and vaping products alike. The proposed ban would prohibit the sale of all vaping flavors, with the exception of tobacco and menthol. Health officials argue the flavors have contributed to the rise of vaping among teens. Lawmakers and critics have all called for the president to enact a ban, but his new plan is facing some major pushback. Joining me now is Axios healthcare editor Sam Baker. Good to see you, Sam.
Thanks for having me.
So walk us through what the Trump administration is proposing here.
Yeah, you pretty much covered it. It would be a near total ban on all flavors except for tobacco flavor and menthol flavor. There's some dispute about where the line is between menthol and mint, but that's sort of in the weeds. There would probably be some process for those products to come back on the market later if they, meet certain scientific criteria for the FDA, although we're waiting to see the details of that and whether such a pathway actually exists. But this is pretty much the fullest vaping crackdown that anyone had asked for, and those people are getting their way.
So has the Trump administration had any success in tackling the surge in youth vaping before this? In other words, were there other options, other solutions that were proposed before taking what some are saying could be a drastic move?
They had initially proposed, I don't believe it went into effect, some really tight rules on how these products could be sold. It would basically require places that sell them to build a separate room with the flavored things in them so that you would have to show ID to get into that room to even see the products on the shelves. And then, that sort of went so far anyway. And there's reportedly been a lot of interest from the First Lady, Melania Trump, in this issue that they just sort of skipped ahead very quickly from that to an actual ban on their sale.
So we were just showing some video there of some of the vaping products, some of the, the fruit flavored ones or whatever. And when you look at the packaging, it does look as if it is targeting younger people. However, I note that our correspondent and anchor, Tony DeCopel, has covered this story quite a bit. And as part of his reporting and his research, he's uncovered that, there are a lot of adults who also love the flavor of, bubblegum and whatever I don't vape, but whatever the fruity flavors are. So I wonder if it's also sort of, perhaps for some people adults who may like it, that this could be problematic for them.
Yeah, this was sort of the tension that former FDA Commissioner Scott Gottlieb, who really took the lead in drafting the regulations on this within the administration, he would always say, we think that these products do have a role in helping smokers switch to a less dangerous product. But there is this undeniable surge in youth vaping. And all these products have a huge amount of nicotine. So if you vape, you are probably very addicted to nicotine. And so it is that tension between, harm reduction for a safer product than cigarettes versus something that's really attractive to children. And I think the bet here is, if you've been smoking cigarettes for long enough to be addicted, yeah, you might prefer bubblegum, but just switch to tobacco. It's not like cigarettes taste so great.
So, as you know, there have been multiple deaths linked to vaping, but according to the CDC, most of those deaths involved with vaping are linked to THC products, not nicotine. So, is the Trump administration focused on this too? And if they are not, should they be?
We don't really know exactly what specific product is causing those illnesses. You're right that it does not seem to be Juul or any of the other mainstream brands. It seems to be something, maybe some kind of bootleg vape, something with THC in it. And I think those two have really sort of conflated in a way that the industry is legitimately sort of frustrated by. If you're Juul, you're the giant. And these illnesses have maybe sort of politically made it easier to regulate you, even though they are separate from the issue of youth vaping.
And so how is the vaping industry reacting to what's being proposed?
They're not happy, although Juul has sort of seen the writing on the wall. They previously went ahead and voluntarily stopped the sale of almost all flavored products. I think that they have fought, but I think that they understand that they are going to have to refocus on this sort of harm reduction, smoking cessation market, even though that's much smaller.
And I just note that so much of what we talk about today is reflected through the prism of the 2020 race. Does this proposal at all play into that?
The Trump campaign believes that it does. They had circulated some polling that said that if the administration went ahead with this proposal, it could threaten Trump's reelection chances, at least in certain key battleground states. Vaping advocates certainly are very vocal politically. They're very active on social media. They're very active, I can tell you, at reaching out to reporters. There's so much going on in 2020. There are such enormous issues at stake. I'm a little bit skeptical that this will really be the deciding issue, but stranger things have happened.
Yeah, and as we're talking here, Sam, I'm just monitoring social media, and I can see people, which I presume are adults, that are saying, look, they feel they're being unfairly targeted because they don't vape in front of their children, but they enjoy their bubblegum flavored vaping products. So there clearly is that tension that you mentioned.
Yeah, and I think that's something the administration has legitimately wrestled with, and smart people in big jobs have tried to square the circle, but have just repeatedly said to me that when they look at the numbers on youth vaping and see how much that's increasing, it just motivates them to go big.
Yeah, really interesting reporting. Sam Baker from Axios. Thank you very much, Sam, as always.
Thank you.